all over again. It's up there, so that'll be available for you guys as well, like if you're absent or whatever, you have to leave early or something like that. So we're going to add to our vocab words today. We'll keep working through this packet. We will take a break part of the way through to play a game. I try to do that almost every day, some sort of like way to break up the whole lesson and not so we're not like just talking and taking notes the whole time. Sometimes it's a fun game and sometimes it's like more math, but just a different way to look at it. So I try to do that so just so that it's not so monotonous over the course of an hour, 20 or whatever our classes are. So we're going to define the word plane. So we talked about our lines yesterday. Now we're going to talk about planes today. What a plane is basically, if you can picture like the ground you guys are sitting on, that we're on this plane, and then the same flat plane, like Miss Wooler's class across the hall is sitting on that same plane. So we're all at the same level, like that plane extends even through walls. It keeps going, like if you could picture if the earth was just flat, it just keeps going in the same place, or the same plane all the way across. Now, if you think down to like where the lunchroom is, you have to go down a ramp to do that. That should be a different plane, or like where the middle school is. So they're sitting on a different plane. So we're up here, and then they're down here. There's a ramp to get us there, but those are two different planes. So this is considered a plane, and then this is a whole separate plane. So same thing with the walls in the room. So this front wall is a plane, back wall is a plane, you know, like, so there's planes all around us. But the idea of planes in geometry, which is really hard to understand because this doesn't happen in real life, is it extend on forever. So this little plane here, this plane that is drawn in the blue here, is supposed to extend forever. And there's really no good way to show that. They can't draw arrows on all the edges. So a plane is a flat surface that extends forever. I'll move in a second if I'm in your way. In all directions. Extends forever in all directions. Now, just like a line, this plane has a name because I was talking about the plane we're sitting on versus the plane the middle school sits on. I would talk about the high school plane and the middle school plane. You know where I'm talking about. Whereas this plane has a name. It's like a line has a name. So the way we name it is we need 3 letters so that you know that it's on the same plane. So this would be plane. And there's no fancy symbol with like the little line up there. So BCD would be the plane. So not very interesting. It needs like a first, middle, and last name. Or the plane can also have a nickname. So these are points. So we need 3 points here. Or you can have just plane that's like a K in the lower quarter. It's a nickname. So you know, if there's a whole bunch of the same kid with the same name, we typically give them a nickname. Like if your name is Mitchell in this school, you apparently need a nickname because there's thousands of them. And so that's a well-known nickname. So same idea here is I would know which plane I'm talking about. I'd call it plane K. Before you flip your page, if you have a little space on the bottom, I'd like to add one more vocab word. If you don't have space, you could probably flip maybe to the back side. There's plenty of space, like totally like the whole back side of the paper. We need to add one more vocab word that I forgot. So if you have room on the bottom, great. If you don't, flip to the back side is fine. We're going to add line segment. That's another vocab word I forgot to put on our sheet. So you can add line segment to your vocab sheet. So if we knew a line is a straight line that goes on forever, what do you think a line segment is? Line segment would be then. Yeah, go ahead. A line that stops. It's that basic. So it's a line that doesn't go on forever. It's probably more like any other line you would have ever drawn. A line that goes on forever, you probably have never, or you haven't ever drawn one. You've drawn the arrows, but these lines stop. So this is actually something we can measure. So a line segment is more common than probably a line in real life. So it's a straight line with two endpoints. And I'll draw a picture of what that looks like. This would be considered a line segment. Like I could grab a ruler and measure that. I could tell a little, I could put a little ant on the board and have them walk that line. I don't know how to do that. But there's an end point to it. There's a start and end point. So this one, in terms of a name, just like we could name a line, now to name a segment, all we do is just don't put the arrows on it. So someone who knows geometry would know that's a segment versus someone if you drew the little lines over the top. So you can also call this HG. If you guys are ready, you can flip your page there. Oh, you guys know what? I totally forgot. We need to do lunch. So if you guys have a device, if you have not done so already, if you guys could take a minute to put what you want for lunch in. Do we get a new email every day?
Yeah.
Okay. Every day? And I didn't get an email, so that makes me,
I didn't either.
So if you have not done so already and you want, or you guys can get online and get your lunch taken care of. So that even if you're not taking hot lunch, we'll just say that, like so. If you've already done it, take a minute to chill. I knew there was like something, like I'm like, why are we moving so quickly here today? Like there's something I'm forgetting. And is there any other? Also, I'm going to write myself a couple quick notes. Sorry, online people, we're doing other stuff here. I want to remember if you guys want textbooks, we'll make sure we grab those if you're interested in that. I think if there's anything else, that'll be my, yeah, I'll flip it. I'll forget other stuff. All right, and then once you've done the lunch thing, if you just hit close your computer off so I know you're done, that'd be great. And then I know we can move on. Anyone having issues or have a circumstance that we need to know about that we need to fix for you for lunch? You guys all got an email? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna do some more vocab here. Sorry, usually the first few sections of geometry chapter are a lot of vocab. Geometry is a lot of vocab. It's kind of learning a different language. So just a heads up on that, but I obviously have to tell you what the vocab is, otherwise I'll be talking in a foreign language and you won't know what I'm talking about. Because the word collinear, my other class wasn't able, we got a little further ahead because it wasn't first hour. They weren't able to come up with what they thought it meant. And I thought maybe with knowing what you guys know about English and maybe a little bit of common sense with geometry, you might have an idea, but they were close but didn't quite hit it on the head. Does anyone have a guess of what they think collinear might mean? So the word co, or the part, like the prefix co, kind of gives us some clues. And the word line is in there. Any thoughts? Like Miss Miller and I are co-workers. It means we work at the same place. Anyone want to have a guess there? So same line. So it's going to be points that are on the same line, collinear. So collinear are points on the same line. And there's great examples of collinear in this classroom. So your row is a collinear row. Like, I mean, so these four are collinear. It's not like you could take them and then, you know, grab somebody from over here and say, oh, they're in this line. I mean, that would be hopefully obvious that that's not the case. They're in the same line. It's something we use. People that live on the same street as you, you're collinear with one of them or with them. So points on the same line here, if you guys look, this line pretty clearly shows these points that are all on that same line. So some examples of that, just a little example. Now this drawing is supposed to be three-dimensional, and that's why I copied it out of the book, and rather than having me draw it or having you guys draw it. It's kind of hard to make that look like pretty, like that it actually is happening here. So this is supposed to be our plane, and then there's supposed to be a line coming straight out of it. Almost like a flagpole coming straight up. So what do you think non-collinear is then? If collinear is on the same line, what do you think? Yeah. Not on the same line. So what would be non-collinear with these? What would be non-collinear? Z, yeah. So point Z, if you look, point Z is kind of hanging out there all alone, kind of looking like he's looking for some friends in the lunchroom. And point Z is hanging out there by himself. He's not collinear with those other points. That's our example of non-collinear there. So now if we understand collinear, what do you think coplanar is then? Yeah, go ahead.
Two planes living next to each other?
So that's like intersecting. So no coplanar. So think about what the word co means again. Okay, Izzy, what do you think? On the same plane, yeah. So points, or it could be lines this time, on the same plane. So coplanar is points or lines on the same plane. Points or lines on that same plane. So if you guys think about coplanar, so if I'm talking about this as a plane, so like for instance, like this switch is on this plane along with that switch. But then if you look at the back wall, like something on the back wall would be, or the clock would not be coplanar with those switches, like for our fans here. So these are non-coplanar, or they're coplanar with each other, and then that would be non-coplanar. So I'll start with points on the same line, or points on the same plane. So like V, W, X, Y, and now actually Z is considered coplanar with that. So before, Z was kind of an outlier, was non-collinear, but it is on that same plane. So non-coplanar is obviously then not on the same plane. So what point is not on the same plane as those other points? You guys see it? So using this drawing, which point is not on the same plane then? Wait. Yeah, is it T? So like if you, like again, just kind of trying to visualize what's going on here. The one plane is like the flat paper, and then T is on this line that's kind of getting dropped down through it. So T is somewhere like hanging out up here. So T is off that plane. So T would be an example of non-coplanar. We're going to do one more vocab word and the little examples on the bottom. So we're going to finish this page and then we'll take a little break. I know it's a lot of notes right now. So this drawing, what this is supposed to try to be doing is it's trying to show two things intersecting. So let me grab some scrap paper here. Some quick crafts. Put those together. All right, so what this drawing is supposed to look like is something like, obviously my crafting needs some help. So like it's supposed to look like two pieces of paper intersecting one another. So that's what that drawing is supposed to be look like. Now, if I asked you guys to draw that, you'd probably go like this might be rough. Like, so that's why having these notes kind of printed out ahead of time would be helpful. Some of you guys are probably great artists and can make that look probably even better. But, so this is what we're drawing here. And so what we're trying to show here is two planes intersecting. So intersection is exactly what it sounds like. It's a set of points when two geometric figures like kind of cross each other or connect. So I will write out that vocab and then explain it a little bit more. So it's the set of points that two geometric figures have in common. Set of points that two geometric figures have in common. So a really easy way to think about this is like an intersection you see every day. You guys drove through intersections to get here. Intersections is where two lines come together to intersect at a point. So two lines intersect at a point. So if I wanted to explain this, I'm going to add some like letters to this. So if I call this A, B, C. So like AB intersects CB. Where do those two lines intersect? What's the spot called? What's the spot called where they intersect? There's a name for it. Okay, see it there? AB intersects CB. What do they have in common? Their names even give it away. What do they have in common, you guys? Yeah, go ahead, Dawson.
B,
What's that?
B,
B. Yeah. So if these are two sticks and I was trying to glue them together, that would be where I put the glue. Again, if this was two roads, that was where I put the street light, the stoplight. That, you know, that point is really, really important. That intersection point is kind of where everything comes together. Now, two planes intersect. So these two planes intersect, and if I were trying to glue these pieces of paper together, where would I put the glue? How would I describe what the glue would look like? I was like putting some glue on this. Think about like the actual like glue, like stuff that we use that we would actually glue this together. It's like the Elmer's glue. How would you guys describe what the glue would look like here? What shape would it have? Would it be a circle? How would you glue? What would you do? Yeah, Evelyn? No. So I put glue across here, wouldn't you guys? Like so straight across. What do we call that? A line. So two planes intersect to form a line. So kind of like the classroom here. This is a plane and this is a plane. If I was trying to get these two walls to connect, I would want something to stick here. So it'd be that line that I need to make sure there's like concrete or whatever it needs to hold two, you know, walls together. So two planes intersect to form a line. So I'm gonna write that down here. So two planes intersect to form a line. So you think about like this Kleenex box, like the one side and the next side over, they intersect at this corner, which is just really a line. Kind of have to think about it as a shape there. So in this drawing, we have two planes. We have plane P and plane Q. So I'm going to kind of write some information about this. So plane P and plane Q. So kind of fancy P and Q. I think they use kind of fancy letters up there. Intersect at, where's their intersection? Where would you put the glue in that drawing? So that drawing they gave us. If I was trying to glue those two pieces of paper together, where would I put that? Yeah, line AB. Do you guys see that? So these two planes come together, and this line is their intersection, that line AB. And I like the way you named it. So it is a line. It's not just points A and B, it's an actual line that goes through those. Okay? All right, so I feel like I need you guys to wake up a little bit here. So I think we're gonna take a quick break from notes. So I'm going to pause my video here. Be back.